Shalom, my dear brethren in Yahshua Messiah. Allow me to show once again how Christian theologians mislead the Christian world by using the Bible. In the first video, I showed how Christians theologians they read a verse in the Bible, then they use their misconceptions, their culture, their traditions to interpret that verse. Allow me to show how the same theologians they read one verse selectively and they remove it out of the entire Bible. If it is the issue of the law, they remove it out of the law and then you maneuver it to preach a wrong doctrine. So in this case, we have Professor Solberg justifying that Christians are free to eat unclean animals. So let's listen to the first verse which Professor is quoting out of the Bible. Okay, listen.
As we've talked about in other videos, Gentiles have never been expected to keep the kosher food laws. The Torah shows us in no uncertain terms that under the law of Moses, God had a different dietary standard for the Israelites than he did for the Gentiles. For example, in Deuteronomy 14:21,
for example, meaning there are other proofs.
Yahweh commanded Israel, "You shall not eat anything that has died naturally. You may give it to the sojourner who is within your towns, that he may eat it, or you may sell it to a foreigner. For you are a people holy to the Lord your God." So the Israelites weren't allowed to eat anything that died naturally, not even meats like beef and lamb, which were allowed under the Mosaic law. The Israelites weren't allowed to eat it because it wasn't ritually killed, and it was therefore considered unclean. However, they were free to give or sell that animal to the Gentiles, the sojourners and the foreigners, who could eat it. So the Gentiles were allowed to eat food that was considered unclean for the Israelites.
That is a very excellent verse quoted by Professor to justify that the Gentiles were free to eat what was not holy. Perfect. 1. When you read Deuteronomy 14 verse 21 to start with, it is not talking about unclean animals. But the objective of Professor is to prove that Gentiles were free to eat unclean animals like dogs, swines, shellfish and all that. But is this verse talking about that? No, it is talking about a clean animal which died naturally. So, first of all, Professor is misleading to start with. An honest professor should be able to compare verses because he is a professor of theology who does not prove that the Bible is contradictory. But it is somebody who should be proving that the Bible truly is inspired. Now look at Leviticus 17 verses 15. What does it say? It says, "And every soul that eat that which died of itself, or that which is torn or beast, whether he be homeborn or a sojourner, he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until evening, then shall be clean." Do you realize there that even the homeborn, that is Israelites, were allowed to eat the animals which died of themselves? Why is Professor unable to make that comparison? Why is he a professor of theology in the first place? The Israelites here are allowed to eat animals which died of themselves. But by doing that, they become unclean. The professor also should be in a better position to inform us that sojourners were different. Where there are those sojourners who had not accepted the covenant made with the children of Israel in Sinai. And then there are those who had joined themselves with the children of Israel. So the way those foreigners, those sojourners were treated was not the same. So in this case, Professor, if he was honest, he should be able to compare parallel verses. Let's move to Leviticus 11, where I will read, but you will jump that part. Then verses 39, what does it say? "And if any beast of which you may eat die, he that touches the carcass thereof shall be unclean until the evening. And he that eat of the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. He also that bear the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. So this is the mistake which Christian professors, theologians who purports to be now enlightening the world on the truth of the Bible are doing. That's the mistake they are doing. They are not comparing verses so that they can come up with a reasonable argument. Professor R.L. Solberg, would you please make a comparison? Deuteronomy 14 verse 21, would you please compare it with Leviticus 17 verse 15 and Leviticus here chapter 11 verses 40. And when you are reading Leviticus chapter 11, don't jump that 9, you jump to 43. No, you are not being honest. A professor goes ahead to give the reason why Israelites were not allowed to eat animals which died naturally. But the Gentiles, as he has insisted here, were allowed to, although he has not categorized the sojourners to the children of Israel. He gave the reason why the Israelites were not allowed, but why Gentiles were allowed. Let's listen.
So the Gentiles were allowed to eat food that was considered unclean for the Israelites. And why this distinction? Verse 21 tells us, "For you, Israel, are a people holy to the Lord your God." The word holy in Hebrew is kadosh, and it means set apart or different or not common. The reason that Israel was given the kosher food laws was to set them apart from all the other nations.
We have seen Leviticus 17 verse 15, Leviticus 11 verses 40, they would still eat. But by doing that, they become unclean. So Professor here is pointing that because the Israelites were only to Yahweh their Elohim, that is why they were not supposed to eat these animals which died naturally. Is it only the issue of food which made the Israelites to be holy to Yahweh their Elohim, as Professor is removing that section of the scriptures? The Israelites were given so many other laws because they were holy people. Reading Exodus chapter 19 verse 5 to 6, it says, "Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be mine own possession from among all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which those shall speak unto the children of Israel." So, Professor here is associating the issue of clean and unclean to the children of Israel. What about the entire Sinai covenant? It was the entire Sinai covenant which distinguished the children of Israel from the other nations. In other videos, Professor will also point circumcision. He will then point Sabbaths. It should be clear that it was the entire Sinai covenant which was distinguishing the children of Israel from the other nations. The way Professor is also explaining on this issue of clean and unclean, saying that it was to set Israel as a holy nation, it's like he is suggesting that we as believers, we are not supposed to be holy. But if you read in 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 9, "But ye are an elect race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that ye may know forth the excellence of him whom called you out of darkness unto his marvelous light." And you can see when the commentators here, they are relating Exodus 19 verse 5, Deuteronomy 4 verse 21, and these are the related verses. So the believers of this age are a holy nation. The way Professor is preaching as if being holy is something which is unacceptable to the Gentiles. We should be careful with professors, people who have high responsibility, reading scriptures selectively and fishing them out of context to teach wrong doctrines. Thank you so much.